My name is Gianni Russo, a.k.a. Carlo, the infamous son-in-law from The Godfather. I'm now known as the Hollywood Godfather, and this is my story.
Before all of the wins in my portfolio, I was a little boy diagnosed with polio. Experimenting with cures, I tried every one. Felt everything in my right, but my left was numb. Walking with a limp, like will I ever run? Once again, or is this it? Am I forever done? Living in the hospital was never fun. Some people were cool, but not everyone.
Welcome, everybody. It's Gianni Russo again, and it's time for another Hollywood Godfather podcast. And I'm really excited about these new segments. So before I have anything else to say, let me bring my co-host on, please. Jeannie Raymond, how are you, my love?
I am fantastic. I've just been looking forward to our next time together so I can hear these fabulous stories. They're fantastic.
You know, it's funny because even today, looking at my past, and you know, so, like this stuff we're talking about tonight is over 40-something years old.
Oh, wow.
And you know, when you start talking about it and the magnitude of what the projects were, I was in my early 30s.
I know. I can't believe that. The stuff you're doing at 34 years old, most people don't do in their whole lifetime.
Oh, I know.
Your brain, I'm telling you, that polio did you good.
Well, before we go any further, what I'd like you to read, which I'm awfully proud of also, and in fact, I want you to read it. It's the use permit that I was approved for. It was in the Las Vegas Sun on Wednesday, November 22nd, 1978, which to me, that's another omen, November 22nd, because that's 15 years after JFK was killed,
Oh, my God.
assassinated. And so, I mean, these things all create a web, and it keeps just, it's like deja vu, keeps coming back.
That's
So
what I love.
What?
I'm sorry. I love about this is the more we dig into all this stuff that you were doing, the more stories it's sparking. And
I know. I mean, I could do this for 2 years, 3 years.
That's exactly right. Well, these stories are so crazy, and to think that at that young age you had the I don't know, what do they call it in Italian, the moxie or the
Oh yeah.
To I don't think that's Italian, but
Oh,
whatever.
No, the Moxie is Jewish. No, just so
No. Well, what is it in Italian was what I was saying.
Kalyuns.
Yeah, I was going to say kahunas. I just didn't know, there's a lot of ways to say it, but I love it. So, well, I'm so glad that you kept this treasure chest full of fantastic memorabilia so that we can all share it now. So I'll read
And I
this
don't know
part.
why I did. You know, I have stuff 60, 70 years old that I'm going through all this stuff now. We could stay on the air for another 10 years doing a story a week.
It's so funny you say that because I've been going through, my mom's, 88, and she's all the time bringing stuff over, just like emptying her house. And I said to my kids, I should start getting rid of some of this crap because I don't know if you're going to care about it anyway, but
Don't
mine
do
aren't
it.
as fascinating as yours, but it is fun when you pull it out and all of a sudden you get to reminisce of all the fun times. So, and I love that we get to hear it all again straight from the horse's mouth. So it's fantastic. So
Well, if you would be so kind,
you bet.
read the headline and a paragraph or two of what was decided on.
All right. It says use permit request approved. So I'm sure the people writing this were as stunned as the rest of us. A young entrepreneur's dream to build a $54 million hotel casino here moved closer to fulfillment Tuesday. The Board of County Commissioners granted Gianni Russo's request for a use permit to build and operate a 650-room, 23-story structure on a 7-acre site at Harmon Avenue and Colville Lane. The 34-year-old Russo said he plans 21 blackjack tables, 4 craps tables, a big 6-wheel, baccarat, keno, and 750 slot machines in the 18,000 square foot casino area of his project. Russo said he has obtained private financing for the project.
Which that blew everybody away.
Right, right. They're like, where on earth is this 34-year-old kid going to come up with this kind of money?
Well, we're going to get into that too. So the interesting thing for me, when I read that, I'm 34 years of age. I can't believe it. And
that's crazy. It really is crazy. At 30.
And as we get into this project, that first part, the 54 million, was just to build a building.
Oh,
the
wow.
Building with all the to do a turnkey operation like this, we're going to get into it because Manuel Correo came in and did that for me. So it turned out just under $90 million.
Oh my God.
But on that day, when they read this to me, on the, 15 days later, I broke ground on April 1st, April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day.
I just wanted to do it in a way, and it's it's an omen to me, number one. And so April 1, 1980, I broke ground on this thing. And I put up 2 huge circus tents where the parking lot would be and the front parking lot and the porte cochere. And then I put the tents up right on the perimeter where the hotel was going to be built. Because as we get into this, there was a reason for that also.
So did you say you broke ground? You got the permit. This was in 78. You broke ground in 80?
No.
78.
Yeah, I broke ground 15 days later.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I was in negotiation with everybody, like Las Vegas Paving, who did the excavation and did the footing and foundation work. I had all their bids and all that. Once we got approval, we were ready to go.
Nice.
So that's how fast this moved along. So on April Fool's Day, we break ground. I have a party you cannot believe. And the favors were hard hats, construction hard hats with the logo of the hotel. And the T-shirt says, "We can dig it." That was the theme. So, I mean, I'm talking about every celebrity you could think of. I mean, you name them, everybody that was a headliner. Siegfried and Roy, they all were invited. I had limousines shuttling back and forth in between shows and whatever. And then, it was like the who's who. In fact, Steve Wynn showed up. And Steve Wynn was like my idol because he's a couple of years older than me. And he just bought the Golden Nugget. And he was a big, influence to me. And all the dignitaries. And a lady, I'll never forget her name. And I can't believe that I remembered her name. Thalia Dondero.
What's her name?
Thalia
Thalia.
Dondero was the head commissioner in my district there. So she was the lead person. And when we first met, and I told her, she said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I own, I have all that land there, 23 acres. She said, "When did you get that?" I said, "I started buying it in 65 because I had so much cash." And people didn't realize at the time that Nevada was inviting you to invest in the state. It was a desert, in the middle of the desert. If it wasn't for the Hoover Dam that started bringing people there and Nellis Air Force Base, there was nothing there. Then the Binions built downtown and those smaller hotels. And so I was out, way out where I'm at, Colville and Harmon, later on. I mean, just to give you an idea where this property is, it's behind the Aladdin Hotel, behind Bally's Hotel, next to MGM Grand Hotel. And now what built onto me on the other side of Colville Lane that boxed me in was, the Hard Rock.
Oh my God.
So my property just kept expanding by that improvement, because as we get into it, we'll understand why and what's going on. And the thing that was more devastating to me is that I was doing it.
Well, So could give us an idea in comparison, because these are big numbers. I don't know I have no idea what like the Excalibur or those rooms now have, but back then, what size were those hotels? Were they the 23 stories or because
No, there's some of them are. Yeah, I mean,
you know,
I would make this equivalent to if you know the Mirage.
oh, okay. But were you bigger than everything else that was already existing, or were you just in
No,
the?
there was one or two towers going up.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
no, they were starting to grow, and but I felt, let's do it.
I love it.
It gets more interesting as we talk about it. But I had like, when you talk about the Wayne Newtons and David Brenner and Siegfried and Roy, these were all headlines already.
Big
And
deals.
then
Yeah.
I realized, everybody that I was invited just said, well, we'll be there. We'll be there. And I'm saying, wow, that's very nice of them. And my assistant said, Mr. Russo, why do you think they're coming? I said, they want to see my hotel. He said, no, you're building future jobs for them because I have a big
Oh,
showroom.
exactly.
And I didn't even think of that. I just said, wow, this is very nice of these people. They're all coming to my party.
They all wanted to make sure you didn't forget them when it came time for having some entertainment.
Right. And then a good friend of mine who was coming to my house parties, as we talked about the last time, Pat Cooper, was my celebrity bartender. He emceed along with David Brenner. Now, I don't know if everybody out there knows who David Brenner was.
Of course.
David Brenner at that time was co-hosting for Johnny Carson, and everybody thought he was going to take over for Johnny Carson. And little did they know it was going to be David Letterman. I was always knocked on the ground when they said David Letterman. But with that said, this party started at 6:00. So the dignitaries that come down, from the state office and all that, they came, and it went on to midnight. Food, booze, everything. Everybody got a hard hat. Everybody got T-shirts. But the acts that were going on, like Louis Prima and Keely Smith, I had a band, and they were getting up and doing their show. So it was a party and a half. And, then as midnight came, my idea was that we're going to drop the side curtains so you could see the lot.
Yeah.
And these big bulldozers started their engines. One big, huge bulldozer pulled right up. And I remember my daughter Gia was a little girl at the time. I had a Magnum of Dom Perignon, and we went over to it and busted it on it. And they started digging it.
Right then.
And right then and there. And they were going to dig it and keep going every day now until we get to the next portion of it. But, and Las Vegas Paving was the people who did that for me. But, it's a situation that when you start talking about, and I didn't, I was making a lot of money, stupid money. I mean, Frank Costello, the Vatican, it was all kinds. It was just, and I did the right thing with it. And then as we get into the story tonight, you're going to find out where some of the money came, and which created a couple of problems. But yeah, a couple of problems. But are we close to a commercial? What time is it?
It is. We got about 4 minutes, but we can take one now. We can come on back.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's
All
come back. Don't go nowhere. And we have a special commercial today because I found going through my stuff today, even for the next show, I found albums that I made for State Street when I opened that up. And that's 44 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
But I have these unplayed, long playing record albums that we're offering now. If you go on our website, GianniRusso.com, you'll see the advertisement for them. We'll send them to you personalized, or just, follow the instructions and you can have one. But the pictures you'll see on this album is Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Paul Anka, every movie star. And I just got delivered And I put it on the album cover. I just got, because I wanted to buy myself something because I was so happy with myself and successful. I bought a Ferrari four-door Mondale convertible. There's only like 10 in the world.
I've never even heard of that.
Well,
Well,
you're going to see a picture of it later. I'm going to show it to you for later. But no,
fantastic.
it's a great car. But anyway, that's the commercial for this. We're back. So now, what we're going to do now is read something that is a little devastating because with all this joy in my life, I always have obstacles. There's always an obstacle. And the obstacle here was it's a wiretap by the federal government. And, you know, most of my audience knows by now I've had some problems with the past and got them rectified. But this is the headline from that. Can you see it?
Yes. Mob spurns Vegas Godfather star.
Well, what it is, this Ned Day, I don't know how he got a copy of a federal wiretap. And it opens with a conversation with the Godfather, Nick Savella, Joe Augusto, and Carl DeLuna. And they mentioned a story about me in the newspaper. And Carl Savella says, well, he's coming in to see me Tuesday with some friends of ours going into Kansas City. So they said, well, what's going on? Well, we have arranged to give him $30 million towards his casino. And that they were controlling at that time the Teamsters pension fund.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And so what happened, I almost got involved in this. I borrowed 30. I went to have lunch with them. We talked and that. They saw the blueprints. They're very happy. They said, we'll give you 30 million, like $30 or $300, 30 million. I said, okay, what do I have to do? He said, no, don't worry about it. Tell us where you want to, we'll transfer from the team suspension fund and they're going to wire $30 million.
Oh my gosh.
Unbeknownst to me, the federal government has been tracking them because when Joe Kennedy and Frank Costello sold the Tropicana Hotel, they sold it to Carl DeLuna and them, not knowing they were backed by Kansas City. So now the FBI, organized crime, and you name any bureau you could, were cracking down on the Teamsters pension money, his brotherhood pension money. They lent out, I think by the time they were done, they lent out $280 million of the pension money. I mean, they were getting great interest for them, so you couldn't stop them for that. But they weren't loans where you did a due diligence and, you know. But see, with me, I had the land.
Yeah.
So I could pledge the land. And I did that. So here's your collateral. So, but it doesn't end there because this gets crazier. I get a call from Ernst & Young, who I hired myself to watch the money and the draws. You know, they always need second signatures. But, you know, I never did anything of this magnitude. So I hired them, and they called me. And they said, Mr. Russo, can we have a meeting with you? And they had an office right downtown. I said, yeah. So I drive down, and they're very solemn. And I said, what's going on? They said, well, you know, did you see the Wall Street Journal today? I said, no, I don't read the journal. They said, well, and Jimmy Carter was our president at the time, the peanut guy.
Your memory is incredible.
But I love this guy. And I mean, when I tell you why I love him, you'll find at the end of the story. But what happened during his time, construction money, all money, went to 19% interest.
Oh, that's right.
So They said, we recommend you pull the plug on your project because you're going to have to stay 91% occupied just to service the debt on the loan. So I'm saying to myself, what the hell? And the guy that I have to say, from the day I walked into Las Vegas, they introduced me to a young guy who just left the Gaming Commission. He was the head of the Gaming Commission in Nevada. And they said, hook up with him. He's a friend of ours. His name was Jeffrey Silva. Now imagine in Nevada, his name is Silva. It's Silver Mines. I said, I love this guy already. He was only about 5 or 6 years older than me. So I hired this guy. He calls me in and he said, Johnny, he says, I just was told they have a dossier on you that they know you borrowed all this money from the Teamsters Union. I said, well, there's nothing wrong with doing that. He says, well, there isn't, there isn't. The Savellas gave you the loan. I said, he said, did you fill out an application? I said, no. So he said, well, I'll be very careful. So now they're exploiting on it more and more and more. So I decided I'm going to blame Jimmy Carter. I have a press conference.
That's bad.
I have the guys from Ernst & Young, because the money that I gave, $650,000, I gave that out of my own account to Las Vegas Paving. And there's a reason I'm saying that, so you can follow the bouncing ball. I own the land. I gave Las Vegas Paving, and now I'm going to make an announcement. We have to postpone the project until the rates go down. And thank God I did, because if I took $1 from that loan, I'd got 20 years in Leavenworth.
That's crazy.
It's totally insane. But the thing that, again, here's another obstacle that turned into,
A blessing.
positive.
Right.
Because as we go on, it's a situation that, then it really took when you want to do something and then you're ready to go do it, and then they convince you not to do it, and you say, maybe I shouldn't do this. So I kept postponing. But land that I bought for $1,500 an acre, $2,000 an acre, I bought the corner of Flamingo Road and Colville Lane. The corner. I paid maybe $75,000 for it. It's appraised at $23 million today. All this land is still intact. Years ago, I moved it to corporations in Liechtenstein because I didn't know where this government was going. I didn't even know where I was going. But long story short, if I would have took one dime, I would have been going to jail.
That is so crazy. So how many times a week do people hit you up to buy that land?
Oh, no, but no, I have an agency.
Oh,
No,
well,
see,
they're pestering them. That's great real estate.
no, but see, my grandfather told me something a long time ago. If you don't need money, why sell something?
It's true.
My idea was, I'll give you a 99-year lease, improve it. If you defaulted, I'd own the improvements too. So the land now has been transferred to XYZ corporations. They're out of my control, fortunately, because me going through divorces and all these kids always having, I got great advice from Jim Bianco, the lawyer from the Vatican, now whose grandson is my lawyer in Liechtenstein. And, but let me show the audience my pride and joy hotel that I almost built. Look at this building. It's insane.
That is beautiful.
The Renaissance Hotel, and 23 stories looks a lot in the desert. But so I put that dream away. It saved me 20 years in jail.
Thank goodness.
And we're going to move on to another story, which is going to coincide to this, because when I broke the ground, and again, now the FBI is coming and they want to see all my documents. I don't have any documents and none to show them.
You want to see your loan paperwork?
Yeah. I said, well, they said, where did you get the bulk of the money? I said, from the Vatican. They said, what? I said, the Vatican. I said, well, they said, well, we're going to have to investigate it. I said, good luck. They said, what do you mean by that? I said, the Vatican's a country in itself. You can't go to the Vatican and subpoena records.
Your records.
They didn't even know that. I mean,
That's crazy.
I can't believe this. They were dumbfounded. So Jeffrey Silver figured, oh my God, we have all kinds of problems. Never happened. Never happened. They never came. They forgot about it. I pulled the plug. I didn't take the money. They did lock up Joe Augusto, the Savelle. Oh no, they corralled them all because they were operating the Tropicana Hotel.
Oh.
They were fronting for the Savellas. They were actually operating the property, took the money and bought the property. And so, it's another lesson learned that thank God I do things the way I do.
Did you ever find out? Oh, well, the wiretap. That's right. I was thinking,
no, the wiretap. And how Ned Day got that wiretap, I don't know. Because, but this newspaper people get it. I'm so happy he leaked it out. Because I probably would have went and took the money down.
That is.
But the funniest thing, and I still don't know why, if you do a history on Ned Day, his hobby was scuba diving. And being, in the newspaper, and they had a great column, this guy was really looked after and respected. He announced when he was going on vacation, I'll be gone for 2 weeks. I'm going to Hawaii on a scuba diving trip. Well, he wasn't gone 48 hours. When he lands, they find him in shallow water, drowned. Now, how does a professional scuba diver drown in shallow water with his scuba equipment on? So I was just joking. So when they came to me and the local police and all that, and everybody heard about it, the newspaper, he died of drowning. And I said, did anybody, review the autopsy papers yet? They said, no, why? I said, he died of drowning. I said, did they look on his back? They said, what are you talking about? I said, I think somebody must have been standing on his back holding him under. They thought that was the weirdest morbid joke they ever heard. But anyway, that's that.
Wow. Yeah. 2 hours after right after he got there. That's wild. But
yeah,
you don't have to think too far out of the box to wonder what happened to him.
I know. That's why, to me, it's, again, fortunately, with my life, it's a different situation and I made it work. So how are we on time?
We are ready for another commercial.
Perfect. Okay, good.
All right.
We'll be right back.
These are great.
Okay, we're back. And I just found out this week how you could buy all our stuff now. So the Hollywood Godfather, just go to GianniRusso.com and I sign them. I do whatever you want with them. We're going to be giving we're going to put together a collage, if you want them, we don't know if you do or not, of these newspaper articles, chronologically taking you back to 50 years, if you're interested in the history, and the album that I'll be introducing in our next show coming up, because we had a request to talk about State Street and how that came about. And it's a perfect lead in this show to that, because the people that were building my hotel, Lud Correo and Tony Marnell of Lud Correo Marnell and Associates, I had to do something with this money. So tune in next week, and you're going to find out how State Street came about. Jeannie, you have anything to add? Oh, we need the cards and letters. How's that all going?
That's right. Well, we've got to do a mailbag in our near future because we have a number one for a while, and we are getting all sorts of great questions because people are loving hearing about this, and they have lots of questions and comments about what we're doing now. So it's fantastic.
Oh, that's great. Okay, we'll schedule one. Let's do
Okay,
it.
we'll look that up. We'll get that going. So what was I going to ask you? Something about that hotel. So how long, I know it's just a sneak peek, but how long until after this project went down until you decided to do Gianni Russo State Street?
In about 2 months.
Oh, really?
You're going to find out the next show. I hate to say, what was I going to do? I had nothing to do now.
Well, heck, you can't have all that money sitting around. I mean,
well, not only that, I want to hang out someplace and I want to own it. I had to close Tiffany's because they sold that to the.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Yes, we talked about that a lot on the last show. Or the one before that. I don't know. They're all mixing together, so they're so fantastic. But it's crazy to think. I don't know about the people you hung around with when you were young, but your brain works so quickly.
I was never hanging out with anybody young. That's the
secret. You were young.
I know, but that's the secret. I didn't hang out with anybody young.
Right.
I started hanging out with a guy 57 years of age. His name was Frank Costello.
Right.
Then I went to Mo Dalitz. Then I went to Ricardo. I was always on the road traveling. I was always with people 15, 20, 30 years older than me. That's why I think I live the life that I do, because I'm like a sponge in the desert, listen to these brilliant people. And I always ask questions. Right. One of my greatest mentors yet, he's still alive, is Al Malnick. He's 92 years old, and I don't do a thing without talking to him. And at the age of 26 in St. Louis, Mr. Malnick was the attorney for the Teamsters at 26.
Yeah, you know, these days there's no way they would dare let some young kid in.
There are two on their podcast and Tom, whatever you call those podcasts. Yeah.
They're messing on their phones. They're doing Instagram. They're doing TikToks. They just aren't listening. They're certainly checking things out on their phones, but they're certainly not sitting around being quiet and soaking in the kind of knowledge that you've had. And it always, I listen to your stories, and these pictures are just pure gold. And listening to this and thinking, you could have been doing the same thing, but just kind of, even if you did pay attention, the fact that you went after every opportunity that came along, you didn't just listen to it and let the knowledge go in and out. You've taken every little morsel of everything you've ever learned and just gone with it and made such.
Well, what's interesting, you're saying that. In 2 weeks, I'm going to Baku, Azerbaijan. And everybody's saying, why are you going there?
Why not?
I may come back in the beginning of September and tell you something I'm getting involved over there you will not believe.
How long are you going to be gone?
I'll be gone. I'm only gone 10 days.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm coming right back. I don't stay places long. No, I'm going 10 days, but I'm maybe creating something with some people's names, like Putin. I can't wait to get over there. But anyway, let's sign off. Tune in next week. You're going to hear about how State Street came about. That's an interesting story.
That's right. Gianni Russo's State Street, because that name is part of that big title.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Well,
keep the cards and letters coming. We love this new segment. We're probably just going to stay in this until you said we had enough. All right. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think so either. Just a
Thank you so
reminder,
much.
that book is fantastic. It's just, I love it because all of these stories are reminding me of the book.
Oh, yeah.
And it's making me, I'm like, I gotta go and read that again. But
Yeah.
so I'm getting it from both sides and I love it. So don't forget that book's on sale, and you'll not be sad you bought it. It's fantastic. So keep that in mind.
Well, thank you.
All right, my dear.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good
We'll
night.
see you next week.
All right.
And that was that. But I'll be back.
No regrets, no complaints. Lived a life with no restraints. The little kid they all counted out, proved them all wrong, that's without a doubt. Laying there with my left side numb, 5-year bout with polio, but yes, I won. From standing on corners like how many pens you want, to living in a bakery, then opening my own restaurant. Of course I had some help along the way, friends like Frank Costello that I miss each and every day. Things from many years ago still resonate.